Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C, them good old boys down south. And Big C, I want to just tell you, bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America. Thank you for following Big C Sports, as well as across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Thank you for following Big C Sports. You good old boys up in Canada, we love you so much, Canada. And now you know there's no one I love more than them good old boys down south in the land of the free, in the home of the brave. But Big C, you're really down south today. How's it going down on the islands, Big C? Your thoughts?
Beautiful setting here in the harbor, Charleston.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous evening. You know, when you talk about sports, the fanfare and all talking, you look at the yachts out here in the bay, as well as these huge cruise ships. I mean, the world's largest cruise ship is sitting across the blue right now. But, you know, after that game last night, Charleston, and the fanfare, I needed some relaxation. I don't even know if I'm going to get it down here.
Yeah, you probably not to go. You don't get relaxation when you got on that part of the world, Big C. Today is a beautiful April the 4th, 2017, and also a day that will live in infamy. The late Dr. Martin Luther King, you know, he gave his life for his civil rights and for everybody to have the freedom to do what you're doing, Big C, with the travel. We have the number one sports show in the universe. We have a great setting here with iHeartRadio, and now you're down in another part of the country. Them good old island boys listening to Big C Sports, Big C. That's what I want to hear, Big C. Hey, man. Yeah.
Outstanding setting down in Reliance Stadium, and a fantastic finish between Villanova and North Carolina.
Yeah.
And this year, you know, we were in Phoenix. You know, at the University of Phoenix Stadium, 70,000 people again, Charlton, and a spectacular game. You know, North Carolina came out victorious last night, Charlton. This is the second time that North Carolina has won a national championship after being the runner-up the year before. So just kudos to the University of North Carolina and Coach Roy Williams. And as we talked about a lot, Charlton, having those experienced teams, those seniors on your roster, coming back, knowing what to do in crunch time, being able to help you get over the hump instead of panicking as some of the freshmen who are looking to get out of college and get to the draft. It was so meaningful and inspirational for North Carolina, Charlton, last night.
Yeah.
After coming so close last year, within a split second of going into overtime to losing, to having a chance to come back last night when they were trailing in the first half, and having that senior leadership and understanding of the game, and having that great coach on the sideline, Roy Williams, with his 100th tournament victory with a national championship, Charlton.
That's amazing. He's been doing it for a long time, and the 100th game, it's almost like it's set up by nature. They lost when he was in the good old, tournament last year, and they lost in the final play, Big C. If you can't lose or close a game than what they lost to Villanova. And my hat goes out, I tip my hat also to Gonzaga. They call themselves the Zags, up from the state of Washington. And, the state of Washington has had two teams now represent that state in the championship format in basketball. You have Gonzaga out of Spokane and the University of Washington. They've made the Final Four. In football, they lost to you good old boys down south in Alabama, but a 71-65 game that was pretty much neck and neck right until about the last minute and a half of the game, and you had a North Carolina. They just showed that they'd been there before. I thought Gonzaga, the big boy down there, he wasn't able to convert on a lot of inside passes, Big C. That really cost Gonzaga.
That really cost the team. You saw with the size of Gonzaga, he ran over everybody. He missed so many baby shots.
Yeah.
Down underneath. He just looked like he was
nervous. Yeah.
In those attempts. But, being a 7'2", 300+ pound something,
yeah.
You got to take that ball to the basket forcefully. You got to force somebody to foul you.
Yeah.
You can't play tennis down in the post when you have that type of size advantage. And that was the key. May was able to keep him off of the board, Charlotte, able to body up on it. And I think that's one of the things that Gonzaga had not seen all year long.
Yeah.
It's a tall, physical team across the front line, a bunch of 6'10" guys who would play with him physically, but also had more athletic
Yeah.
When you look at it player for player. But Kanowski really had a problem underneath matching up with that athletic talent of North Carolina.
Yeah, and when you think about it, the Tar Heels, they performed well enough to win. It was back and forth, but when you think about them winning by a 6-point margin, Big C, they actually had a 9-0 turnaround. They went into halftime down by 3 to Gonzaga. I was really impressed with what Charles Barkley talked about. Gonzaga has some big guys that could really pass the ball, and they could get up and down the court for you. But it just shows if you're not making baskets, if you can't make it on a layup, just dunk the basketball. If you're 7 feet tall, Big C, some of them good old boys, they know that they can all dunk the basketball. And sometimes your big boy, I wanted to see him do more of dunking the basketball. But like you said, maybe size doesn't always matter. He seemed like he was a little bit intimidated, Big C. Is that a good word to call for a young man? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he was talking. Like I said, he hadn't seen that much athleticism all year long.
Yeah.
Among other big men that he had played in that athletic conference. Talking.
Yeah.
And when you think about North Carolina playing in the ACC, you're seeing top flight talent every week.
Yeah.
Just within your state.
Yeah.
That Duke right down the road.
Yeah.
And so the ACC has been one of the premier conferences in college basketball forever.
Yeah.
And when you look at the coaches and the talent, it's that heritage that is easy to bring players in from all over the country as well as keep the local talent because they know that's a pathway probably to the next level if you can be successful in one of those universities. And then when you think about the great alumni
Yeah.
that have come out of North Carolina over the years, it's endless when you think about all-time NBA great scorers, players.
Yeah.
They just have a roadmap. And so when Dean Smith goes out and recruit, he's an alumnus of North Carolina, as well as when he coached in Kansas. You've seen how well Kansas has played with him there, and Bill Self after Bill Self, and even Larry Brown before those two jobs.
Yeah.
But, to come to North Carolina under the lineage of Dean Smith, that always will loom over you. That's the table that has been set. How well can you do compared to what Dean Smith did? And so he left a tremendous legacy. And that legacy lives on with Roy Williams, one of his proteges. So no more can you ask from a university.
Yeah, and that's key. That's so key. And he has so much praise for the late Dean Smith, who I think we talk about this humanitarian and this player responsibility now, and people not just being dumb jocks. And the late Dean Smith, he was one of the most, I guess, powerful figures in the world of sports because he wasn't just a guy who coached basketball. And I just want the world to know that Dean Smith, one of the good old boys from the South, but he would not allow Jim Crow to segregate his team. And he told some of these good old boys that practice segregation. If all of my players can't play, none of them can play or stay in your hotel, because some hotels, like Donald Trump's family, they would not rent to black Americans. They only wanted you there for the sports, but they would not rent to them, Big C. And Dean Smith, like a lot of coaches right now, they're standing up to that garbage. I'm sure Donald Trump would have shouted him down, Big C. Your thoughts on POTUS, Big C?
Well, my thoughts on POTUS is I don't think he would have been very welcome in Phoenix last night.
No.
When you think about the Hispanic content of that state, Dalton,
Yeah.
and the number of Hispanics that are working there in this facility, that are making contributions to the American economy.
Yeah.
That's what he doesn't understand. When you have people making legal contributions to American economy, I don't care how they got to this country, and you and I talked about it in one of our previous shows, that no one questions
Yeah.
the Asian Americans that are, the Asians that are, they're not even Asian Americans, but the Asians that are here in America.
Are Caucasian. Who questions Caucasian people when they go around, Big C? Who questions the Caucasian American when they walk around or get on an airplane or go someplace?
We have so many Eastern Europeans
Yeah.
in this country illegally. No one questions them. But if the Asian Americans, and I keep saying Asian Americans, but the Asian population
Yeah.
of illegal immigrants outnumber the Hispanic
Yeah.
illegal immigrants in America. No one questions it. And I would even beg to say that the Caucasian, the white illegal immigrants from the Eastern Bloc and other places, even Canada, talking one of our great listening methods,
Yeah.
are here illegally, and no one questions them. Why? Because they look like it. They blend into their communities. But when you walk into these Asian communities shopping,
Yeah.
and no one speaks English, that's the reason why.
Yeah.
They're here illegally.
Well-
So if they just say they don't speak English, no one's questioning them.
Yeah, I think.
But, Donald Trump was easy to say, okay, let's go after the Mexican Americans.
Oh, he's going down there this week. Yeah. I tell you what, Big C, when we think about it, and I just want to say that this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C, are they driving the Escalades down in the southern hemisphere, Big C? Your thoughts?
It's not a big deal down here from what, a lot of people drive little small vehicles because, everything down here is so different. And Charlton, they also drive under the English rule down here when they drive on the opposite side of the road.
Oh, I'm seeing good. Let's keep it real, Big C. I've driven with you a couple of times, driving on the opposite side of the road. That also happens in the South, Big C. Don't make it about South America, Big C. But I do.
Everybody, when I got in my car today, I didn't drive, I had a car service.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel like I've been tired. It's a long flight that I had to take today.
Yeah.
So I took a car service to the hotel, and I get in the car, and all of a sudden he's on the wrong side. I said,
That's funny.
He was a nice drive. He's right on top of everybody. They drive with gusto down there.
Yeah.
They made me nervous, and I'm not scared to punch behind.
That's funny, Big C. And thinking about not being afraid, just look at what happened in last night's game down in Arizona. Glendale, just a great host for championship games. And you have the Gonzaga that finished 37-2 on the season. Ironically for Gonzaga, they lost their final home game on the regular season to BYU up in Spokane, and then they lose their final game of the year, against the great North Carolina. And Coach Few, just an awesome person, nothing but a lot of praise for him. And when you think about it, if you're a fan of Gonzaga, and of course North Carolina, you know this, Gonzaga's been in their conference championship game 20 years in a row, Big C. North Carolina has been to 20 Final Fours. North Carolina has been doing their thing way back in the days of Dean Smith. So I kind of felt like last night it wasn't just the players playing. There's almost like a culture that you bring with you when you go to Carolina, from Michael Jordan and James Worthy and all them good old boys, and there's just so many of them that have been down there. That culture kind of feeds into the young players. Gonzaga doesn't have that yet, Big C. Your thoughts?
They may not have the lineage of North Carolina, Charlton, but they have set the tempo on the West Coast. When you look at all the prominent programs on the West Coast, and we saw the participation from the Pac-12,
yeah,
they were greatly represented in the tournament. You had USC, Arizona, UCLA, Oregon with the deepest of all the teams that people pick UCLA and Arizona as potential national champs. So it has shown the growth and rebirth of basketball on the West Coast. And Charlton, it has truly been led by Gonzaga over the past decade.
Yeah.
They have had more success in this small university and small gym than any team on the West Coast. So when you look at the consistency that Mark Pugh has put together out there, Charlton, he has national and worldwide recruiting that goes on that. It draws in some of the top players, young players, Charlton.
Yeah.
And that's how you consistently able to compete at that level and make it into the tournament. And this weekend, Charlton, made it into the championship game. You think about it. This was a tournament that started out with 68 teams, Charlton.
Yeah.
68 hopefuls to win a national championship. And it was whittled down to just two last night in an outstanding game between the East Coast and West Coast, the Southwest. Or the Southeast, if you really want to look about it.
Yeah.
But, the viewership in this game, Charlton, where I read this morning, was up 30% from last year.
Wow.
And so you think about that. That's an infusion of new blood into the tournament.
Yeah.
You had South Carolina, who had never been there before, under Frank Martin, who's done a tremendous job going back to his alma mater, resurrecting USC basketball to a place where it had never been before, Charlton.
Yeah.
You had Oregon. You think about their advancement. Not just the inaugural national championship, Charlton, has they been this far in the tournament. North Carolina, we know their rich history of 20 trips into the Final Four, Charlton, but Gonzaga making its initial trip. That's where the interest came from for the fan at home on the television, that they were not sitting around watching the same Monday teams
same thing.
year in and year out.
Yeah.
And that's when we talked about the landscape of college sports changing. When you put in the limited scholarships that school could offer, when they couldn't stockpile all the great players any longer, and now with the national television recognition, players can go to any school basically and be seen on television several times a year, which is always attractive. I know when I was being recruited out of
Yeah.
Because my family didn't have the economics, Charlton, to follow me to the game, so I wanted for my parents to be able to see me once or twice a year.
Yeah, and that's important, Big C, and you bring that up. You know, Gonzaga, I believe, they mentioned, who's the guy that I love his broadcasting ability? The older guy we know that there was Grant Hill, there was
Bill Rafferty made the Final Four.
He's amazing. Yeah.
Of knowledge and intelligence.
Yeah.
Bill Rafferty is like an encyclopedia when you're watching the broadcast.
Yeah.
He takes you to places where you don't remember.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's opened up your mind. The plethora of things that run across your mind. It's like having a great steak run across your palate. Talk about a game. Talk about the nuances of a game.
Yeah.
Not just talk about somebody, hey, he's a diaper dandy, and he was one of the top 100 players coming out of it. He can care less about that, Charles.
Yeah.
Bill Rafferty is about educating and telling the fan about what they're seeing or maybe even missing on the floor, which created a scenario, Charles.
Well, Big C, there's two things I just learned in your comment. Number one, steaks don't run across our mouths here in California. We like to eat ours once they're done, okay? So you good old boys, they eat live food. When they get live food, I guess that's really called live food. That's how Big C. Number two, what I love about that good old boy is when he announces what defense somebody's in, he'll say, man. And I said, what did he say? He said, man. He said man to man. But, man, I just love listening to him talk. I really love what he adds to the world broadcast. And then so,
but think about this with Bill Rafferty.
Yeah.
He had the Madison Avenue in him, but he also got a lot of streets.
Yeah, he got that good old boy in him too, Big Z. He's one of the best ever. Just love what he does. And then seeing the great Grant Hill there. Grant Hill with the Duke. I'm sure he was hoping that North Carolina would have lost that game. Big C, maybe not. But, Jim Nance is going on to the Masters where they have a tradition like none other. If you think about your part of the world where it's so diverse and we have all these things going on in the country, the great Jim Nance has had a great career in broadcasting, but he's going in 1 week, less than 1 week, to a world of inclusion in the March Madness Final Four down in Arizona, to the good old boy network at the Masters, where everything is so segregated, Big C. So talk about a diaspora of people, but the Masters, it is a tradition like none other. Most of them good old boys that played in the Final Four. Could you imagine the African-American athletes could not buy a membership at the Masters, and everybody's looking forward to it. I love golf, but we got to get segregation out of the Masters. Is that too much to ask for, Big C?
Well, talking, as they say, some traditions are hard to break. And I don't think that much of America understands that an African American cannot join that country club.
Yeah.
It is a private country club which everybody has the right to set their rules to wherever. But you would think with the advancement of where we are in American society,
yeah.
that things would not be segregated still in America, but there is.
Yeah.
There is segregation still in America, that an African American cannot join that country club, nor can a woman join that country club.
Yeah.
So when you talk about women, when you say the good old boys, that's what they are. That's what Donald Trump wants.
Yeah.
You got to realize that President Obama never played at Augusta.
No.
One of the few presidents who never played there. But I guarantee you, if Donald Trump doesn't resign or get impeached, he will go down there and play because they will open him. They will invite him with open arms. But here it is, 2017. CBS. You think about what the NCAA tournament did, Calvin.
Yeah.
You think about what the NBA has done. When you have segregation in your state,
yeah.
They pull events from your state.
Yeah.
CBS embraces segregation.
Uh-huh.
The Masters.
They sure do.
Embraces segregation by broadcasting the Masters.
They sure do.
These networks pull out of the Masters with today's climate. Now they make billions of dollars off of black men, not even African Americans, off of black men.
Yeah.
ESPN and CBS make billions of dollars off the backs of black men. Because when you look at the NBA, you look at the NCAA tournament,
yeah.
You look at NFL football, you look at Major League Baseball, even hockey. There's a couple of blacks playing there. I think it's last time I saw.
Yeah, that's like 5.
But you think about the billions of dollars that they make off the backs of black men sweating, Charlton, working. They still advocate segregation. Yes, Tiger Woods played in the Masters. The only reason Tiger Woods played there is because he was gone.
Yeah.
Okay, and he pulled out of his latest Masters, and the viewership will go down.
Yeah.
The attendance will go down.
Yeah.
But, these are these major networks.
Yeah.
to Fox News, Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Bill O'Reilly was accused once again of sexual misconduct against female reporter on Fox News Network.
That's like 12 times. That's 12 times. That's 12 times, Big C. That's number 12.
Think about it, they let Roger Ailes go, last year.
Yeah.
Who was the CEO of Fox.
Yeah.
Now, this is Bill O'Reilly's second or third run at sexual misconduct in the network and paying people off.
Yeah.
But major sponsors, Charlton, and this is what I mean when we talk about the masses.
Yeah.
Major sponsors. Mercedes-Benz doesn't get any bigger than that in the auto industry.
Yeah.
Kia is the hottest automobile dealer in the U.S., Charlton.
Yeah.
They pulled their sponsorship from Bill O'Reilly for misconduct and mistreatment of women, okay?
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Well,
CBS and ESPN will not pull their sponsorship and broadcasting of this event with their misconduct of not allowing African Americans or Latinos. How are you going to allow Asians, Charlton, to join this country? Because if you're not white, blue blood, they do not let you in.
Yeah.
We have these major broadcast networks that are advocates for segregation, but they say, oh, no, we're not. This
Yeah.
is not political. It is totally political, Charlton.
Yeah.
Everything we see now has a political overture to it, especially since this new president is coming in, Charlton.
Well, Big C, that is so powerful. And going back to Bill O'Reilly, with his sexual harassment allegations, of course, they always want to sue the women.
But no, he paid it off.
Yeah, they settled.
He paid the woman off.
Yeah.
I mean, why are you paying her off is just an allegation. Just like Trump said he would never settle a lawsuit.
Yeah.
He paid the $25 million claim to Trump University.
Yeah.
And he alleged that this was a false claim, but he willingly gave up the $25 million, just like Bill O'Reilly gave up several $1 million to settle this lawsuit. And even Roger Ailes, before his dismissal from Fox, gave up several $1 million, but they still got rid of him because sponsors say if he stays, we go.
And that's amazing that you say that, because Donald Trump can never speak on sexual harassment. I mean, he's such a joke of a person, but this is for any woman that wakes up in the morning and you just want to go about your day. You should feel free to not be assaulted by some man or woman, but especially men. Just because you're a woman, it does not mean that some man has his right to put his hand on you or to press you into a compromising position just because he holds some power over you. Bill O'Reilly is a pig, but they've known he was a pig for a long time, and they kept paying him anyway because he's white, number one, and number two, because they kind of agree with it. They tacitly consent. That's why they kept paying the man to be on the air. Only when the media hit it harder, Big C, and you hear a lot about that on Big C Sports, he should be off the air. For any woman that still has a daughter or a mother or even a grandparent, and you think it's okay for men to sexually assault your kids, just keep watching Fox News, because they still have that joke of a person on the air with them. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, when you also think about this, they got rid of Judge Napolitano because he made some comments about wiretapping on Trump's father, and Trump went to tweets with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We're talking about wiretapping, not something that physically hurts somebody, okay?
Yeah.
And here's O'Reilly, who's sexually harassing and hurting women mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And it's okay to keep him as your number one anchor on the network.
Yeah.
So he's an advocate against sexual assault, just like the president cannot go out and speak against sexual assault on women, because that's what he's done.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done in his past, and he spoke about it freely, that he has assaulted women sexually. So you will never hear him in any female event, Charlton, talking about protecting women, that you can't do this, this is an illegal violent crime, because I'm the leader of the club in the country.
Yeah, and then when you think about it, make love, not war, but consenting, between adults consenting, that's one thing. But these old white guys, I mean, who would want to sleep with Bill O'Reilly anyway? Could you imagine what he looks like with no clothes on? I always said, if Rush Limbaugh, one of the biggest bigots on the radio, if he can get a woman to lay down with him, that shows you how generous some people are. Or maybe it might be his bank account, Big C. Maybe love is, who are them good old boys that said money can't buy your love? Was that the Beatles? The Beatles saying... Yeah. Yeah.
They're not pro-American. They're pro about their pockets. They're pro about separatism in America. I've never seen it at such a rampant rate, Sharp.
Yeah.
What we have now in society. I mean, you got presidents stepping in talking about the blacks. You should sign a black quarterback because he had a political stance.
Yeah.
He never said that about anybody else, Sharp. But when you think about these people that are doing all these illegal dealings, he's not saying you can't do business with him. He's using the White House to perpetuate his family's business, whether it's through him, his sons, or his son
Yeah.
He talked about China, fair trade with China. But all of his daughter's product, Charles, comes out of China.
Out of China.
Everybody who's buying Ivanka Trump stuff, it's coming out of China. It's not produced in America.
Yeah.
So, you're talking bigotry in doing that. But, here's the president sitting over the line talking about what sports teams should and should not do.
Yeah.
And that's totally wrong, Charles.
And he's a sexual predator telling you not to hide.
Because he's targeting a black quarterback, Charles.
Yeah, you got a sexual predator, Donald Trump, telling America, which he's talking to the good old boys. He's not talking to employers of color. He's talking to the good old white boy network. Don't hire a black man, because he thinks these white guys that won't hire him agree with him on sexual assault and buying women. I mean, they don't get women because somebody loves them. Just look at how they date. They pull out their paycheck, Big C, and see how much it costs, and that's how they get dates. Rush Limbaugh, Hannity, all them good old boys, the same garbage. And think about it. Here's the same Donald Trump. And he wouldn't throw out the first pitch for baseball, America's pastime. He's going to play golf on America's dollars at Mar-a-Lago, his golf course down in Florida. But this same guy that grabs women by the vagina, and the guy that had it on tape got fired, he got hired in the White House. That doesn't make any sense. But for any woman that has to put up with that sexual assault garbage, especially the women that try to back this guy, the next time a man grabs you, don't complain. Tell him it's just good old boy behavior. We got to put a stop to it. Not every man is a predator, Big C. Your thoughts?
No, it's not, Robin. And we get a bad label from the leadership of this country. You think about how many of us, as fathers, as grandfathers, as brothers, we go out there and cherish and protect the women in our lives.
Yeah.
My mother, my sisters, my daughters. I think the utmost of them. My nieces. I had nothing but respect for them, But, for a man to look at them as less than human beings, that's something that I can't have respect for. And I, as a leader of this country, I look at this, Jonathan. The great Bill Cosby actor. Now, I don't know what happened with the sexual allegations was under trial. This man's 79 years old. When they're talking about him spending the rest of his life in prison over the sexual misconduct allegations. And then we have the president of the United States bragging about the same scenario.
Yeah.
And there's no prosecutorial issues that are coming towards him.
Because he's white.
And so, but Bill Cosby, you have all these allegations, and we see this all the time. With sexual allegations, but it depends on your political stature and affiliation.
It depends on your skin color also, Big C. That's the fact.
Well, skin color has a lot to do with that, Jonathan. And we've seen so many African American athletes and actors prosecuted on this. We know of a quarterback who's played in at least 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Who was hit with that twice in less than a year, Jonathan. Never was charged, never went to trial, anything. Never even went in front of a grand jury.
Yeah.
But he was hit with sexual misconduct twice. Rape allegations. Okay? Nothing ever became of it because he had played in 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
So it depends on your stature, Jonathan. He's still playing in the NFL today.
Yeah.
And any sports aficionado knows who we're talking about. He knows who we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's friends that told him. They're talking about it still about those allegations that you did in Lake Tahoe and down in Georgia.
Yeah.
So everybody knows who he is and what he did. But there was nothing that ever came from it, Joe. And so that shows you what color stature stands in America.
Yeah.
That we will go after you if you're not right.
Yeah.
Because we can get you to pay off somebody and say we can get it to go away. You can pay off the investigator and you can pay off the accuser.
Yeah.
It walks away, Jonathan. But if this is wrong, we should have equal justice in America. This is what we fought for.
Yeah.
Whether it's on the playing field as an athlete, whether it's in the civil system as a human being.
Well, we all know that justice is about money if you have money. And again, we always want to stand up for women. No one should be assaulted sexually. I mean, men would not appreciate that if somebody did the same things that Bill O'Reilly has done to these women, and that Donald Trump was caught on tape bragging about it. He was just laughing. I wonder if someone did that to his wife or his daughter, would he have the same type of giggle in his voice, saying it's just boys being boys? But again, he did say he would date his own daughter if she was not his daughter. I mean, that's kind of sick, but some people get down that way, Big C. But again, it's a shame that Riley still has a job for the allegations that have happened against him. And Colin Kaepernick is still looking for work because Donald Trump said, don't hire a guy that stands up for Black Lives Matter. I wonder if Donald Trump's going to take out an ad in the New York Times like he did for the New York Five against Bill O'Reilly for the sexual assault allegations that he settled, Big C. This guy settled. Those black boys were all innocent. He never apologized. He never wrote a check to their families. They lost a lot of their lives in the prison system, even though they were later exonerated by DNA. But POTUS won't say anything about it. In this same old knucklehead, there was some type of an attack, I think some poisonous attack in the Middle East, and he says nothing about it. I guess poison. Yeah, in Syria.
Sean Spicer comes out today and said that was because of the Obama administration. Now, Obama is not in the administration. There was an agreement that you would take the Syrian gas out of Syria.
Yeah.
So none of those attacks were occurring in the last year.
No, that's on a Donald Trump's watch.
The agreement was that the gas was leaving. But since Trump is coming to president, gas is back. And they had the largest attack that they've ever had to date under the Trump regime.
Yeah.
And here was Sean Spicer. I saw this evening on the news where he was sitting there and saying that this attack occurred because of the Obama regime. Obama's gone.
Yeah.
You can't keep blaming things on Obama. You can't keep blaming these guys that are being unmasked on Obama, because if they weren't dealing with the Russians, regardless of that, Obama had nothing to do with it. If they were dealing with the Russians, Obama wasn't opening the door for them to take money from the Russians.
No.
To give shipments to the Russians. Obama had nothing to do with that. They were affiliates of Trump and still are affiliates of Trump. And now that everything is coming out, you're saying Obama's people. You keep saying Obama's people. What about Trump's people? There's only so many divisions you can try to throw. Eventually, the House of Cards will crumble.
Oh, it's going to crumble on them.
So many bad people in an administration who are trying to blame everybody else and not owning up, not one. And they come out and say anything against the Russians, it's been about everybody in the Obama administration.
Yeah.
This is stupidity. These are grown people. You remember when you were a kid and your mother got you for something? No, I didn't do it. You did.
Yeah.
You know, but this is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
We sound like children with their mother looking at them. But hey, who broke that?
Yeah, I know I had to cop guilty a couple of times, Big C, especially when the belt shows up. Mothers seem to have some type of lie detector test called the belt back in the day, Big C. It always got the truth out here. But I also want to say, speaking of the truth, that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. Tune out to Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been rated the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C, them good old boys down south, every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. and also between 6 o'clock p.m. because they're expanding our times too. So I want to thank you for following Big C Sports, and get your insurance through Ben and Mark, whether you're a pro athlete, collegiate, or a college athlete. Big C, I want to bring something else up before we get into a little bit of the baseball scores. Governor Jerry Brown here in California, the great governor of great state of California, he would not sign a bill that allowed the rounding up of what they call, I don't even want to say the word, but they're Mexican Americans now. They want to call them Mexicans are illegal or whatever. I don't believe in any word illegal, but undocumented. He's not going to say that California is not a safe haven state. So really congratulate Governor Brown for having a heart. California's Hispanic population is 51%, and they should not have to be rounded up any more than them good old boys that are bombing the clergies and the synagogues all over the country. They just happen to be white men, Big C. So you have all these governors that are turning their back on Donald Trump and that racist Steve Bannon behavior. So I want to just tip my hat to Governor Jerry Brown for having a heart and doing the right thing. No one should have to be forced to be rounded up and having their families taken out of the country. And one more thing, we talk about sexual assault. Would you believe that sexual assault is down in the Hispanic population? Not because it's not going on, Big C, but because women are afraid to report the crime because they don't want to be deported because of this garbage that Donald Trump has done. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, he's unmasked protecting women is what he's done, Charles, in America, when you think about it. Because he has all these undocumented aliens in the country, is that they don't want to report the crime because they were going to be deported. The woman will be deported, Charles.
Yeah.
And if they find the man, he will be deported also. So, you know, they have to live under this shame and embarrassment because you got this hooligan in the White House, Charles, using this against them.
Yeah.
And he's using this against all communities, Charles, not just the Hispanic community. We talked about the Asian community also. It goes on there.
Yeah.
So in a lot of communities, especially when these predators are, Charles, and they know that these women are undocumented,
yeah, Exactly. Make it everybody.
All of them.
Yeah.
And even in this, Charlton, by doing this, you're now not allowing the protection that these women deserve because they are human beings.
Yeah.
They deserve this protection, Charlton, from law enforcement. And when a crime is committed against them, a heinous crime like this, Charlton, but they deserve the protection, not to be criminalized on top of being victimized, Charlton.
Yeah, and I agree with that. So last thing I'll say about that, sexual assault is a crime. Big C Sports will talk about it more than any sports programming. We'll do it more than ESPN, which gives it about a week. But then they'll cover, the Masters, which is a segregated course. We'll talk about it more than Fox Sports, any sports company out there. For the women who are assaulted, if you're Caucasian, most likely the guy that's assaulting you, he looks just like you, or Donald Trump or whomever. So shame on the president for not even being able to stand up against women, for women, because he's one of the biggest predators out there himself, Big C. I also want to say when it comes to the world of sports, there's a lot of talk about an erstwhile great quarterback by the name of Tony Romo. I don't know if you call great a guy that won 2 playoff games in almost 13 years, Big C, but he did say he's going to step aside. You know where they're going to go? Where they're going to put him, Big C? They're going to have him in broadcast now, Big C. What in the world for? What's he going to do with broadcast, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I heard that also, Charles, that Tony Romo has been released by the Dallas Cowboys, and that all the broadcast networks were in hot pursuit of him. CBS.
For what?
Earlier, Fox, this is a guy who had a long career, Charles, in the NFL. But, success wasn't the greatest part of it. And when we think about quarterbacks, I guess they think that he was really Troy Aikman, who had some success as a Dallas Cowboys quarterback. But you got to remember, Charles, Troy Aikman won more Super Bowls than Tony Romo won playoff games as a Dallas Cowboys quarterback in his less time of a career.
Wait, say that one more time, Big C. I don't know if everybody heard you. What did you say?
Troy Aikman won more Super Bowls than Tony Romo won playoff games as a Dallas Cowboys quarterback. And talent around him, Charles. So
Yeah.
The success of a Tony Romo is not there for lending to the booth, Charles.
Yeah.
You think about quarterbacks like Rick Gannon, who's been a broadcaster for CBS for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
Rick Gannon at least made it to a Super Bowl, Charles.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You think about the great man Powell, who spent many years as a broadcaster for CBS.
Yeah.
And he made multiple appearances in the playoffs and won some playoff games, Charles.
Yeah.
One of the greatest passing attacks of all time under Eric Coryell in San Diego.
Yeah.
So when you think about the quarterbacks that have been employed, Phil Simms has a couple Super Bowl rings wrapped around his fingers, from his career with the Giants. Boomer Esiason never won one, but he did spend the time in the playoffs a little more than what Tony Romo did, and a Super Bowl, Charles.
Yeah.
With the Bengals against the 49ers down in Miami.
Yeah.
So when you look at the lineage of quarterbacks that are broadcasting in the booth now, Charles, and the success that they've had as players on the field, I think this thing with Tony Romo has become more of a love affair of the broadcast talking about him so much, especially over the last year, and they feel that they have to give him something back because there was a rookie black quarterback that went into Dallas and had more success in one year than what Tony Romo had in high school.
Yeah.
And everybody right now is trying to knock off Dak Prescott saying, well, you got to look at what happened with him with Green Bay.
Yeah.
They went in first series, they had to punt the ball, Green Bay scored. Second series, they had to punt the ball, Green Bay scored. Well, Charlton, he had not played in 3 weeks. Okay, just like any other quarterback, he has a tendency to be rusty.
Yeah.
But once he got a chance to get the run kicked off after a quarter and a half, he was back to Dak Prescott that we had seen through the regular season. He was able to get his rhythm back with the offense, and not by any help or love from Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Because he was in love with Tony Romo, whatever affair they've been having.
Yeah.
He was in love with him so much that he said, I don't care about the success of my team and what this black quarterback is doing. I'm giving the ball to Tony Romo.
Yeah, and I think that's funny. I mean, I congratulate anybody that can get into any business, but this is just an example of just because you played the game, it doesn't mean you're going to be good. I know they gave Joe Montana a chance, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. They gave him a chance to do some broadcast work, and he just wasn't cut out for it. And I've heard Tony Romo speak. I just don't get it, but I don't run the networks that are going to hire the good old boy. I do wish him luck, Big C, but I think there's always a process where let guys work their way up. To just put him in the booth, Troy Aikman, he had the tutelage of the great John Madden. That's what helped him become good, Big C. Yes.
Look at this here. When we look at all the quarterbacks that were in the playoffs last year, okay?
Yeah.
Every team in the playoffs. Which one of those teams brings their starting quarterback in the
Yeah.
Of all the teams that were in the playoffs last year, Charles, in the NFL, how many of them benched their starting quarterback in the final week of the season?
That would be Jerry Jones only, Big C. Jerry Jones only.
I mean, the entire NFL, not just the one in the playoffs, but the entire NFL. There was not one NFL team other than one of them. There's 32 NFL teams, Charles.
Yeah.
32.
Yeah.
And only one out of the 32 benched their starting quarterback. And the one that benched their starting quarterback had the best record in the NFL.
Yeah. It's
had the best record and lost all their momentum and everything. Number one seed, best record, and you bench your quarterback.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that before, Jonathan. We haven't seen that lot in football.
No.
That's not occurred.
No.
Ironically, Jonathan, the only quarterback that got benched at the end of the season last year was a black quarterback.
It just happened to be. Maybe Donald Trump called Jerry and said, "Don't play that black guy. Tony Romo can also get you guys to the Super Bowl, Big C." I'm sure those conversations have happened other places too. I want to touch on a little bit of what happened in Major League Baseball last night's game. It was Boston 5, Pittsburgh 3, Baltimore 3, and Toronto 2 in 11 innings. You had Minnesota 7-1 over Kansas City, Cleveland 8-5 over Texas, and Houston 3 and Seattle 0. And then going into some of the other games that are going on all throughout baseball and some interleague play, we had the Red Sox with a 5-3 win over the Pirates. Boston, when you talk about baseball parks, I love Fenway Park, and they have so much history back in Boston, so hopefully they'll make some news or make some noise back in the AL East, Big C. Always expecting the Yankees, but you know what? Every team has played a game. I'm just going to run down who's in first place because it may not be that way after Game 3, Big C. In the American League East, you have Tampa Bay, they're in first place, and you have in the Central Minnesota's in first place, they're 1-0. In the West, you have Houston, they're also in first place, they're 1-0. In the National League, New York is 1-0 in first place. In the Central, St. Louis, which missed the playoffs last year, they're 1-0. And then Los Angeles, they're 1-0 in the West. Even though I'm looking at the San Francisco Giants to win the NL West, should be some great baseball going on, Big C. But I know down where you are right now, a lot of them good old boys are drafted by Major League Baseball. Is baseball as big? Are they into the opening week where you are down in the southern part of the world, Big C, the way they are here in the country, Big C? Your thoughts? Yeah.
Down here in the southern hemisphere. I mean, it is a sport. I mean, you can see the kids playing soccer everywhere. The soccer fields all over the place, little cricket. But there is baseball talking that the life of the bat and the ball you feel here is clean down here.
Yeah.
And so many great American players, especially from Puerto Rico talking. Puerto Rico has one of the outstanding baseball programs down here in the island region. You know, we get the kids out of St. Croix also talking. But, you know, South Caribbean talking has always been a lifeblood of athletes. And you really don't realize that so many of these talented players come from out of these small island countries, Sean.
Yeah.
Because we're so bent on these big metropolitan areas that are producing these kids. But so many of these kids down here, Sean, they just don't have the youthful outlook that everybody in the earth has. They don't have the facilities in a lot of these places because the land mass is so tight.
Yeah.
And you don't have the huge sports facilities, you know, the playgrounds, the sports fields, even the basketball courts that the youth of America have an opportunity to utilize all the time because, you know, housing is prominent and nice to be able to put on these properties. But, you know, like any other country in culture talking, if you cultivate the talent, you will find it. If you put the position there where they can grow, and that's why boxing has been so big.
Oh, yeah.
Down in a lot of the Latin American countries, Charlton, and the Caribbean. Because the boxers, you know, you're in a gym, and you can pack the gym with these gym rats. They would just go in and box all day.
Wait. Did you say they're... Big C, did you say they're rats down in the gym, or did you say gym rats? Which one did you say, Big C?
Boxers became gym rats.
Oh, okay. I thought you said this. Okay.
Looking for, you know, instruction.
Yeah.
And you're seeing so many Latin American and island boxers over the decades that have come from these small nations, Charlie, that have been worldwide, you know, greatness that you've seen. And so, this is when you give youth an opportunity anywhere in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And you put a sport in front of them, Charlie, they will learn. That's why when we look at the NBA and you see such an influence, Charlie, from Asia and Europe.
Yeah.
Now in the NBA, 22 first rounders, Charlie, last year's NBA draft were not from the United States. They were from the Asian and European bloc. Charlie.
Yeah.
So when you think of the growth growth of a sport. If you present something to kids, they will gravitate to it, Johnson, because they see the excitement of it.
Yeah.
And where they can take their bodies and minds to. And that's one of the things that America's always been great about. When you look at the youth sports, I remember when I was a young man, and right after I passed an age, my pass and kick was developed in America. So
Oh, yeah.
Which led to so many tremendous American athletes having an opportunity to be exposed to that game. Matter of fact, the Kansas City Chiefs, Greg Coach Andy Reid won a tough pass kick competition.
Yeah.
You know, on the national level when he was a young man at 13 years of age. So it's been great for so many youth. And when we think about how baseball has always been America's pastime, but when kids would start out in Pony League, now they start out as early as T-ball.
Yeah.
Pony League, when I was a kid, then we went to Little League, and then we went to Babe Ruth. And, you know, then we gravitated into high school. But, you know, it was always an opportunity to have mentorship in sports in America. It was always those in the community who helped out. You know, you had the Lions Club and community programs.
Oh, I remember those.
Help fund youth sports in America. And then when Pop Warner football came along, Johnson, opened up a whole other avenue for youth. And now we have the AAU basketball. So America has been the leader in providing its youth the opportunity to perpetuate themselves in the world of sports. And that's why we see so many tremendous athletes, Charlton, now across the table, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, tennis. The tennis programs have gone. If you think about the Williams sisters, Charlton.
Oh, they're amazing.
You know, down in Southern California, when they could not get into these elite tennis clubs, Charlton, because they were African-American girls.
Yeah.
But they became the pinnacle of the tennis world. These two African-American sisters, by their dad, Richard Williams, down in Compton, California, Charlton, they became pinnacles of the world and the most elite of all white sports, Charlton, tennis.
Yeah, and that's very well said, Big C. You know, there's so much about the world of sports. I love everybody having a chance, and that's why we're so big on saying no sexual assault against women. We got to stop that violence, that garbage. It's a shame that the president himself, President Trump, cannot come out and speak against sexual assault on women, but we'll do it every week on Big C Sports. I just want to run down a couple of games going on tonight in the NBA. We have the Sacramento Kings at home to the Dallas Mavericks. The Kings are 30-47. The Mavericks are 32-44, Big C. And some more games going on the slate tonight. Brooklyn at Philadelphia, Charlotte's at Washington, Orlando's at Cleveland, them good old boys with LeBron James, Toronto at Indiana. I don't think anyone still heard from the great Larry Bird since somebody hit that $400 million lottery, Big C. Also, we have Chicago at New York, Denver over at New Orleans, Milwaukee at Oklahoma City. Look for another triple-double from Westbrook. Memphis at San Antonio, Portland there at Utah, and Dallas again at Sacramento. Minnesota at the Golden State Warriors. That game was a tip-off at 7:30 p.m. Big C, we just talked about, as we come to our final close, I do want to thank Athena Addison. She's going to be featured in our Big C Sports Models with iHeartRadio. We're doing a lot of great things. Television's coming in the summer for our Big C Sports, and we've covered boxing all over the globe. But also, Big C, I know you talked about so many players in the Final Four. That great game last night with, you know, North Carolina and Gonzaga. You always like to give out the Big C Sports Award for the guy that's balling. Who would you give your Big C Sports Award to last night for balling in the Final Four? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when I look at it, I have to look at the front line, not just one player, but the front line for North Carolina.
Yeah.
How they were able to neutralize Gonzaga. Gonzaga was dominating the first half on the boards, which is something that North Carolina had not seen.
Yeah.
But, you know, most of the Williams made the adjustment in halftime. And that front line came out and played like North Carolina had played throughout the tournament.
Yeah.
They had dominated everybody on the boards. You know, we always talk about great guard play. And William Goff did a tremendous job at the point for Gonzaga last night.
Yeah.
But it was the front line, it was the big men that they were able to neutralize what Gonzaga had. You know, we talked about it earlier in the broadcast.
Yeah.
That Gonzaga was not used to seeing that type of, you know, players up front.
Yeah.
You know, and their center struggles. You know, he's missing these baby shots, Sharpers, but you would not expect a big man at center to miss at all here tonight. But, you know, they consistently intimidated him, moved him off of his position, Sharpers, and he was overshooting the basketball.
Yeah.
So my effort award goes to the front line of North Carolina. They were truly the reason why the Tar Heels won the national championship last night, Charles. It wasn't one player. It was the big men down in the paint.
Well, Big C, that's very well said, and I love competition. Hopefully more people can get their kids involved in competition. We always want to say, no matter what you're in, whether you're male or female, I'm asking the men of our country to help keep women safe. We don't need this garbage that Bill O'Reilly's doing at Fox Television, and he's still going to be on the air as if they're telling the women that you don't really matter, but we say you do matter with Big C Sports, as we'll always say every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States of America. Follow Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network. And as we always tell you, there's never any room to have sexual assault against a woman. Bill O'Reilly, Donald Trump, I hope you're listening. And always, as we always tell you for every program, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.